Learning English, Intermediate Grammar, Passive Voice. Hello, English language learners. Welcome to another exciting episode of Learning English, Intermediate Grammar. In today's video, we will delve into the fascinating world of the passive voice, focusing specifically on the passive voice in different tenses. Our topic for this video is passive voice in past perfect tense. So, let's get started. Before we dive into the past perfect tense, let's quickly recap what the passive voice is. The passive voice is a grammatical construction in which the subject of the sentence receives the action rather than performing it. In simpler terms, the passive voice emphasizes the recipient of the action rather than the doer. For example, active voice, John fixed the car. Passive voice, the car was fixed by John. In the passive voice, the object of the active sentence becomes the subject, and the verb is conjugated in a form of be plus the past participle of the main verb. The past perfect tense is used to express an action that occurred before another action in the past. In the active voice, we construct the past perfect tense using had plus the past participle of the main verb. For example, active voice, she had written the report before the meeting. Now, let's explore how we can form the passive voice in the past perfect tense. We use the same structure as in the active voice, but this time, had is combined with been and the past participle of the main verb. For example, active voice, the workers had completed the project before the deadline. Passive voice, the project had been completed by the workers before the deadline. Note that the auxiliary verb, had, is followed by been, which indicates that the action was completed before a specific point in the past. The main verb remains in the past participle form. The passive voice in the past perfect tense is often employed in various situations. Here are a few common uses. 1. Reporting past events. When recounting a sequence of events in the past, especially in storytelling or historical contexts, the passive voice in the past perfect tense can be useful. It highlights the order in which the actions occurred. Example: the cake had been eaten before I arrived at the party. 2. Emphasizing the result. The passive voice can be employed to emphasize the result of an action rather than the doer. This can be particularly useful when the doer is unknown or less important. Example: the money had been stolen from the safe. 3. Describing completed actions. When discussing actions that were finished before a specific point in the past, the passive voice in the past perfect tense helps convey this sense of completion. Example: all the seats had been occupied by the time we reached the theater. Remember, the passive voice is a stylistic choice, and in many cases, the active voice can be more direct and concise. However, the passive voice is valuable in certain contexts, as we have seen in this section. Congratulations! You have successfully learned about the passive voice in the past perfect tense. Remember that the passive voice shifts the focus from the doer to the recipient of the action, and in the past perfect tense, it emphasizes actions completed before a specific point in the past. Continue practicing to become more proficient in using the passive voice in different tenses. Keep exploring our